Hey everybody, and welcome to part 2 of my book review of Confessions of an 83-Year-Old Sage. So I have been reading this book now for a week, on and off, and it doesn't really start with chapters. Like, it doesn't say chapter 1, chapter 2. It's just each little section's got a heading. So I got a bit lost about where I was up to, but that doesn't matter. I'm getting more into the book now and I really love it. It's an amazing book. And so the last couple of chapters that I read is, again, it's just Helene sort of talking about her day. She gets up, she has breakfast, whatever she's doing, and then she's just launching into sort of whatever comes to her mind, which is very fascinating. Okay, so in this next bit that I read, Helene was talking about be careful what you pray for or be careful what you wish for. And she was telling a story about one of her friends who had a lot of children. And I think she was Catholic. Yeah, she was Catholic. And she was kind of sick of having children. So she prayed for God to give her husband the mumps so that he would become sterile and they couldn't have any more children. And her husband did indeed end up catching the mumps, but I think Helene was kind of like, did you just get the mumps and give it to him? You know, like, so, but she's like, no, God gave it to him. God gave it to him. But I suppose she got what she wanted in the end. But, you know, was it really right? Or, you know, it's one of those open-ended sort of questions. And then in the next part, she talks about being able to sort of mentally, how do I explain this? She's sort of like mentally she's imagining that there's a fly on the person in front of her at church, and so they're squatting away like this. They can feel the fly, but the fly's not really there. It's just Helene sort of concentrating, imagining this fly on the person's shoulder and sort of doing this maybe spell or something on him. So then she's sort of talking about, I guess, how she's starting to realize that she has these gifts. So that's only read a couple of chapters last night, and that's where I'm up to with that. So I'm going to read some more today and add on some more to this video. Okay, so the next bit that stood out to me in Confessions of an 83-Year-Old Sage, oh my gosh, that's a mouthful to say, was the chapter where Helene is talking about dancing naked. And, you know, sounds quite funny imagining her as like an 83-year-old woman dancing around the house in the nude, but it makes so much sense. Like, she talks about a lady who came to visit her who had lost, I think it was maybe her brother and her father, I think from memory, in a car accident, and then, like, not together. One had died in a car accident and one had died like a month later. So she'd had this massive amount of tragedy in such a short space of time, and she was really upset, and she went to one of her seminars and said, you know, can I come and visit you and talk to you? I need some help. And apparently they got naked and danced it off. And, you know, that's quite funny, but, you know, I can appreciate why that would work. I mean, I think if you have got a lot of pent up sadness or anger or whatever feelings, just dancing in itself is a release. Like, exercise is a release. And if you strip your clothes off and dance around the house naked, then it's like symbolic of getting rid of everything, like shedding those layers, shedding those emotions, shedding the pain, the anger, whatever, you know. So that was quite a funny chapter, and I could appreciate the humor in that, and, you know, I might give it a go myself.